the old story is he bought my mom a box of candy, didn't like it. She opened it. He was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And he said, man, I think I can do better. What I always thought about was, we're not selling chocolates. We're building a brand.
100%.
The goal was to build a brand. Okay. The chocolate was the tool. There I went to the bank and said, I need $75,000 in cash. My dad goes, you're crazy. And I said, too late. And of course he said, we'll see.
Yeah.
I said, yes, we will. But so I carrying a little box with $75,000 in cash and a letter from the bank.
How many Easter bunnies do you think you'll make for Easter in a given year?
Oh boy, let's see. Hundreds of thousands.
Hello and welcome to Living Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Greg Weimer, founder and CEO of Confluence Financial Partners, where our mission is to help people maximize their lives and shape their legacies. On this podcast, we will unpack the stories, strategies, and mindsets of individuals who are intentionally shaping their lives and the impact they leave behind. Learn what drives these individuals to push forward, to create, and to give back. Today, we're joined by Bill Sarris. What an iconic brand. What a big part of Pittsburgh you and your family are. When I think about like iconic brands in Pittsburgh, Sarris Candies, Bill Sarris, Sarris Candies, it's got to be one. Sarris, Permane Brothers, Pittsburgh Steelers, what's bigger than that, right? So Bill Sarris is here, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. What a beloved brand. So congratulations on what you and your family have accomplished. But I think in Pittsburgh, everybody knows who you and Sarris Candies is, but we also have a lot of listeners outside of Pittsburgh. So do you just want to spend a little bit of time going back to the beginning? How did it all get started? A little bit about Sarris Candies.
Well, of course, the story just keeps going. All right. There's a few, but of course, my dad started the business way back.
When you say way back, it was?
Way back, it was basically like 1960. But he was fooled around a little bit prior to that. The old story is he bought my mom a box of candy, didn't like it. She opened it. He was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And he said, man, I think I can do better. And at that time, there were like 5 candy makers in Canonsburg.
That's bizarre. Like I remember you telling me that whatever last week. 5 in Canonsburg.
There were 5 people had on the corners. You talked about.
Is that just Canonsburg, or that was like typical of other little towns?
I think it was typical of different towns.
So he gives your mom chocolate. He doesn't like it. Okay. So what does he do?
Well, he started asking questions.
Yeah.
And ran into another candy guy. And the candy guy had said to him, hey, how about delivering some chocolate to me to Erie? So, you're looking at that $100 was big. And he went, you know what? I'm going to look hard into this candy business. And he did. And he started making candy in his basement, did his own little research to find out who was doing what's the best chocolate?
Yeah.
How do I do it? And, the practice makes perfect, where he was doing stuff. And in our basement, got a marble table, got a little melting pot.
Oh, yeah. My mom used to make candy.
And eventually a little cooker, and that was in the basement. And he was making candy for family and friends at first. And he went right into the business in the basement.
And so he started in 60.
That really was when he went full-time out of the basement.
And then when did you start participating in the business? And did you always want to do that?
No, I was young there. I didn't know anything then. All I knew was I was a kid. Okay? I was born in 53, so this is 60, and he's making candy. And of course, you ought to go down in the basement, and there was a chocolate little tank there, and the little metal candy molds. And we had a board with a nail, because those candy molds had clips on it.
Okay.
So you could fill it up, boom, you shook it and put it on there. Thing, and it was 6 and 6. So my job always was make 12 bunnies, because we only had 6 molds.
Yeah.
So you do the 6, and then you have to wait a half hour.
Yeah.
And do something else till you took them out and make 6 more.
So you make 6 at a time. Just by the way, spoiler alert. I'm just going to fast forward because I want to go back. Yes. But I just wanted to show you how people, the amazing progress. How many Easter bunnies do you think you'll make for Easter in a given year?
Oh boy, let's see. Hundreds of thousands.
So you go from 6 and 6 to hundreds of thousands of bunnies.
Yeah, we have 5 lines that make different size bunnies.
So you go from 12 bunnies, you were young, you grow up, you go to W&J.
Yeah. Everybody, those 5 candy makers in Cannonsburg.
Yeah.
Okay. All their children didn't go into the business. They are doctors or lawyers because,
right.
We were Greek. Okay. Yeah. You're going to be a doctor or lawyer. You're not doing what I did.
Like, hey, Bill, I have an idea. Come with me to the business.
No.
He didn't want you to come into the business.
So I said, let's, business is doing well. Let's go into the fundraising business. I'll take care of that. And my dad was, I told you, he never said yes. Ever.
I love this. You got to tell him.
Ever.
I love that.
Ever. He said, we'll see.
Yeah.
That was his theme words. We'll see. That meant, again, he never said no,
right.
But he never said yes. So
we'll
maybe
see.
It was in your hands. Okay.
How'd you get the money to buy the equipment? Like, how did you get the $100,000?
Well, I went to Europe.
Yeah.
Made a deal with a company that wanted to move into the United States market. Chocolate and Rovers, their coating lines. Mr. Bloom was his name. Flew to Europe, went over there, found him. He wanted to come to the United States. And this equipment at the time cost about $300,000 per line.
Wow.
Okay. He said he wants to break the market. He says, bring me $75,000 in cash and I will sell you these machines. Basically getting us, but you have to allow people to come in and look at them. So basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
showroom.
There I went to the bank and said, I need $75,000 in cash. My dad goes, you're crazy. And I said, too late. And of course he said, we'll see.
Yeah. I
said, yes, we will. But so I carrying a little box with $75,000 in cash and a letter from the bank.
So that was the start of mass production. Yeah.
And at that
and is that at that point where the other candy stores, because what I want to get to is like, what was the moment? Why did you guys end up being the iconic brand Sarris Candies versus like the other 4 stores going out of business?
The other candy people basically just retired. Okay. Their kids are gone, outgrew it, so they left. What I always thought about was, we're not selling chocolates. We're building a brand.
100%.
The goal was to build a brand. Okay. The chocolate was the tool. That was always in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that. And then, we built our fundraising program around brand. And at that time, the only place you could get our candy was in our store or fundraising.
So I got to go back. Was the store back that it's not the store it is today?
It's the front door of our store is the original door. The original
where the candy is or the ice cream is?
Where the candy is.
Where the candy is.
Walk in the door in our showcases. That's the first. It was 30 feet by 100.
Because I probably shouldn't admit this to you. Other than the chocolate covered pretzels, it's not like I crave chocolate. It's not like I crave ice cream. But when you go into that store, what an experience that is. You can't help it.
We try to,
it's an amazing experience.
We want people to do that. We want it to be a destination.
It totally is.
It doesn't come. It wasn't to say, oh boy, we're building this.
Yeah,
we're building this thing and we're going to have a destination and everybody's going to come. Okay. Build it and they will come. Sometimes you wonder, how did it happen?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
I don't know. Come on, nobody knows.
It is true though, right?
Nobody knows.
Right. That's just it. Every day you just keep trying to get a little better. You keep working. I know you work a lot. I know you have a passion for the business. And they're like, how did you do that? And it's not like building a house where you had the plan step by step.
There's no plan. You're right. It's just things happen, opportunities arise, and you jump on the opportunity if it's a good one. Just like, we're in Giant Eagle. That's a story in itself.
Tell me.
So we get a phone call. There was a candy company and the father passed away. And the daughter calls and says, hey, I said, yeah, we know. We knew her dad passed away. She says, we have 3 Giant Eagles where we have candy in there and we're done. They need somebody to take it over. Okay. So, I said, okay, let me get back to you. I went to my dad and I says, hey, big opportunity here. Okay. And he said, we can't do that. I said, what do you mean we can't? We have the equipment. We have everything. He says, well, would you tell him? I said, okay. He said, who's going to run it? I said, my wife. So we took over the 3 stores. Now the part was at the store level, I asked her, what are they selling? She says, oh, between the 3, about 50,000. I said, okay, about, 12, 15,000 a store or something. No problem. No big deal. Easy. So we go in there and we went in there like 35 days before Christmas. Okay. That's when we get switched out and we made, it was 150 grand. It did 50,000 a store.
Wow.
That's when Giant Eagle came to us and says, hey, we got a great idea.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, well, this was temporary.
Right.
And then Giant Eagle says, no, we want to do this in stores. Well, what that did for us was an expansion. Okay. Well, wow, now we need more room, and we always, if you looked at our store, you've been there, it's basically in sections because it was never one big build.
It's like your coal miner's house, right?
Build this, build this, build this section, add this, and then of course, might as well put an ice cream parlor in here too.
Do you make all the candy out of the Cannonsburg location?
We just built a new facility in Cannonsburg.
Okay.
So we took over the Fort Pitt Bridgeworks before COVID.
Yeah, I did that.
And we're in there right now. We're putting a little store there. We have a mezzanine that overlooks the whole factory. So we'll have tours and things like that people will be able to do.
It's amazing. So when you think about everything that's changed and how you guys had to evolve, what are some of the lessons? So for the listeners, if you're thinking, okay, I have a business or I have a family business, what are some of the core values or the things that you think about that really helped you all be successful, that differentiated you?
You do a lot of, as you grow, you have to bring people in and delegate responsibilities and things. As we were growing, a lot of our workforce at the time, you'd get kids out of high school. They didn't go to college. They didn't do anything. You hired these kids to do different things at the time. Well, a lot of these kids now are in their 60s and late 60s. So we have a very old they've stayed, never left. There's people that have been there longer than me.
Wow.
Okay. That 45 years, 50 years have been working there.
So it's a family. So they're not related, but it's family.
We're not related, but we consider it family.
Sure.
Okay. So when we have, it's funny is, so when you have, you had to hire HR people to manage your employees and do, at one time I knew everybody's name.
Right.
I worked with them. Okay. Things have changed right now. I try to go through the plans, and, at least 3 or 4 times a week, and go down there so that they know that I care.
Sure.
Okay. Go say hello.
Sure.
Say hi. And, I go by the lines and see what they're running. I always put my hand out. That means like, give me a piece off the line. I want to taste it.
Sure.
So I'm done on the line and we got 15 lines running different things. So basically I leave here and I've eaten 12 pieces of chocolate.
Yeah. But that's invaluable. Like, I think that's the benefit of having a local business and a family business. You have associates that have been around a long time. Associates come into work. You don't have to deal with work from home. You can't make chocolate at home with the lines. But we have our associates that come in. I think the idea of a family business and the longevity of your like, it matters because there's so much turnover now. We don't have turnover. We're blessed. I did a meeting this morning with someone that he and I have worked together on accounts for 10 years. Well, it's just different. Like, we know each other. It's just a different My wife knows, I think, every spouse in our firm and every associate of our firm. And I just think that's an important takeaway.
It is, that family culture. I think makes a difference. My other daughter does all the marketing stuff for the other company. So we keep those two companies separate. Sarris Candies in Tyrone, PA, by State College.
So Sarris Candies, such an iconic brand. Why not merge them and change the name?
They have a unique piece of candy called the original peanut butter melt.
Okay.
And we didn't want to break that apart.
So what, I mean, I just have you can tell, and by the way, in all of our interviews, one of the consistent themes, they have passion. Like you have a passion for what you're doing, which I love that. I mean, but what drives you? I get that a lot. It's like, when's enough? Why do you keep doing it? What drives you? I never know how to answer that.
I don't know. I've worked my whole life. When we started, I would, you'd go to work at 5 a.m. This when my kids were young. I'd go at 5 o'clock in the morning because you had to start the equipment up. I did that. You'd start the equipment up, get it running and going, and you'd be there till 4 o'clock till everybody left. I'd run home, eat dinner, come back, 6 o'clock, would do again, 6 to 9. And then 9 o'clock, I'd get home at 10 o'clock at night. I did that for 18 years.
Right. But you're still motivated to do it.
Yeah.
It's in.
Why? Basically, I'm doing it for the employees. Okay. I'm working for the employees. Okay. To make sure that, what would happen if we just say, okay, you know what? I'm done locking the door. What happens to all those people?
That's really interesting to hear. One of the consistent themes is they rarely are doing it for themselves. Usually by the time you get to be the leader of the organization, you're doing it for your employees, you're doing it for your clients. It's rare that you actually do it for yourself or do it for the money. Those days they're gone.
It's that old thing. When's enough?
Right.
Okay. So you know what? You're not doing it for that.
No.
I'm not doing it for, I never even, honestly, I was never something to sit there and say, oh boy, you know what? I'm going to be this. It's all about the money. I'm being this rich guy. No, you know what? It was a fun business. Okay. You enjoyed the people. You enjoyed your customers.
Right.
You made friends with all your vendors. I've got friends all over the place.
It's relationships.
Yeah, that's it. It's relationships. But I call them friends.
100%.
Okay. Relationship build friends.
100%.
Okay. And, so.
Yeah, we had a client pass and, we work with a lot of families. And my wife said, it would be easier if he wasn't your friend. And I said, but we build relationships that turn into friendships. So that's why when people say it's just business, I just think that's bullshit, because it isn't, there isn't any separation. It's your identity. It's who you are. It's your DNA. But so my son and I, we were in Florida last week and we were visiting with an organization that works with a lot of CEOs. And they said, our best CEOs, for all of them, it's not about the money. And it's about something greater.
How do you pass that along to the next generation, That was never in my dad's thoughts to sit there and say, oh, I'm building this thing and we're going to pass it on to this. And that was never in there.
He was just trying to make enough money to survive, or he was
for him at the time, he started from zero.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I had the luxury of not starting from zero and taking something that had a lot of potential and helped it grow along with everybody else. It wasn't just me. You don't do things like that yourself. Anybody that says that
right
is nuts.
It's a team sport.
Who you delegate to, how you do it, how they do it for you. It's a huge team effort, and passing it along to a family member. I have my son-in-law now who, I was lucky enough that he had a business and sold it that before he was 40, and came to me and says, I don't, what do you think I should do? And I said, what are you looking for? I said, well, hey, I'm building this facility over here. We just bought this property. Why don't you take it over? That'll give you time to decide and do that. But he stepped up and he's making an impact. Okay. Which is good for me, because now I got a generation there, a next generation covered.
I've studied family businesses and I love it. And at first, I'll be candid. At first I was like, oh, they got lucky. They're in a family, whatever. But as I've studied them, passing a business effectively through a family is hard, but extremely rewarding. And I know with your son-in-law and your daughter and your grandchildren, it gives you the luxury of having more people to help.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you worry any less. It actually, for me at least, I think, okay, it's easy to build an organization for a couple years and then sell it or whatever. But when you're thinking about how do you build Sarris Candies for the next 10, 20 years for your grandchildren, that comes with a different responsibility.
Well, I grew up and I know every piece of equipment that we have. Can I operate it all? I can operate all the older equipment, but the electronic buttons now, everything has those electronic stuff that drives me nuts.
Yeah.
All we needed was on, off, hot, cold. Okay, on, off, hot, cold. That was it. Now you got to push buttons,
right,
and you're doing all that. But, even my son-in-law, okay, I said, you got to get down and dirty.
Yep.
You have to learn, because when we're moving equipment and, piping and electricals. I mean, that's what you need to know, that kind of stuff. So, now my grandson coming up, after schools, he'll come in the summertime and said, you know what, it's down and dirty for you.
Sure.
You don't have an office job.
Yeah.
You're not going to run this business walking in the door and going in an office. You cannot.
No. Right.
Not going to happen.
Yep.
Okay? You've got to go down. You've got to get, and I say dirty, I'm getting a little chopped. Okay, come on.
But having that next generation, they make us so much better. Like in our organization, I think our 30-somethings, I'll put our 30-somethings up against any other firm in the area by far. Not even, like and so all that technology that you talk about, thank God, because they keep me up to speed on what's going on with technology, but getting that next generation going is important. So you look back, amazing. What are you most proud of?
Oh boy, keeping the legacy going. I think my dad's legacy going, and doing that, building the brand. What we did, how we did it. You look back and say, well, there's so many little things, a lot of little things. Okay. It's not one big thing.
Right.
It's just a lot of little things, a lot of little steps that you took. Okay. You took these steps, say, boy, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And, then there's a few sideways steps. So we thought we had we thought we had some great ideas.
Yeah.
And boy, did they bomb.
Right. Okay? Right. But you learn.
And you go.
And you learn. But it is what, our responsibility is. And if you leave it better than you found it.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. And so when you say, I'm not surprised you saying that's what you're most proud of, because you're leaving it. Now let's reverse that. If your dad were here, what would he think of Sarris Candies today?
He'd be shocked.
Would he?
Yeah, he would be shocked. And I will tell you something that, him and my mom always worked there, and, we're running equipment and we're doing stuff. And he says, he went down to our warehouse building and he saw it was full. And he come back to me and he wasn't happy. He said, do you know how much stuff's in that building? I says, yeah, we have an inventory. He said, and you're still making stuff. I said, yeah. He said, stop it. And my people said, if we stop, we're going to run out of candy. I said, stop. Let's stop. I said, just we'll manage. I said, just a bit. So next time I brought him back down the warehouse next week and it's gone and it's empty.
Yeah.
And I said, can we start now? And he says,
we'll see.
What the hell did you listen to me for? I said, I know, a bad way to prove a point.
Right.
But sometimes they didn't know. He said, how many eggs did you make today? And I said,
because the volume increased that much that he couldn't even believe it.
No, and I said, well, how many eggs do you, this was, he died in 2010.
Yeah.
So this is probably, how many eggs do you think we make? And he says, I don't know, 20,000. I said, Dad, we make 25,000 a day.
Wow.
I said, every day.
Wow.
He says, no, what do you mean? I said, look at the inventory stuff.
Yeah.
Look, here's where they all are. He said, well, you better sell them. I said, not my job to sell them. Only my job makes sure you're making them.
Yeah.
Ready to go. But yeah.
So you guys worked together for how many years?
Wow. Let's see. I got out of school in 76, so 77 through 2010, he was there every day.
Yeah.
You know,
what a blessing.
He had a kidney transplant. So, in 2000, 2002.
Yeah.
So it gave him 8 more years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you look back, what do you want your legacy to be? Bill Sarris, they're going to think.
You know, I never think of it for me. I always think about it for the Sarris family name, not me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not about me.
Right.
I said about, again, that surprises me more than anything else when somebody goes, "Oh my God, you're Sarris." Yeah. Oh my God. And I'm just going, "Are you crazy?" Who do you think I am? Aaron Rodgers?
Right. Right.
I don't take compliments very well. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I'm doing what everybody else is doing. I'm putting in my time every day, managing what I manage.
Yeah.
The people, the process, the product.
Okay. Give me one thing. We'll end on this.
Okay.
There's a lot of people out there starting a business, trying to grow a business. If you could give one piece of advice, what is that?
Boy, that's a really hard question to ask anybody, especially in that. But I think you know what? If you're starting a business, I think you have to, number one, learn how to delegate some of the responsibilities to other people so that you can grow. You can't do it all yourself.
That's really good advice, because you may be able to be one of 5 candy stores in Canonsburg without delegating.
No, you can't.
You will not make the impact on almost 500 associates and how many people enjoy your product and have experiences without that advice.
Yeah, I just, you need people to
It's
grow.
a team.
A good team wins.
Yeah. Bill, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. It was fun.
I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.